Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in this evening. We are live on Facebook Live, and we are doing the Woman Crush Wednesday, and our Woman Crush this week is Miss Brooke Graham.
That's me.
That's you. You can say hi to the audience.
Hey guys, I don't know which one.
Okay, so this one's Facebook Live. This one's going to be the professional one. You can look into that one, glance over there, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. Look everywhere.
So many choices.
So many decisions to make. So, thank you for tuning in, first of all, and thank you for coming. I really am looking forward to this one because we don't really know each other. So this is basically just getting to know each other and hearing your story.
I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Good. So, first of all, you told me that you're a little younger. You're 21 years old, right? And congratulations on finishing yet another year at school, by the way. Brooke goes to UWO. She's studying criminology, and you're going into your last year in the fall?
Yes. Exciting and scary, but mostly exciting.
Mostly exciting? So tell me about you and your experience here in London, Ontario. Are you from London?
No, I'm not.
Where are you from?
I'm from Brampton.
Brampton. Okay. So how was life growing up in Brampton?
I was born in Mississauga, and I went to private school for majority of my life, and then I went to an art school secondly because dance is a really big passion of mine.
Yeah.
So from that, it's always a really interesting experience because throughout all of that, I've been one of the only black kids in like every single school that I've ever been to.
Really?
So.
Really? So how's that been? How's that experience?
It's interesting. It's the hardest part is always having to affirm your identity, but then not too much to make people uncomfortable. So people will be like, "Oh my God, Brooke, like you're so white, like you love Starbucks, like blah blah blah," and I'm like, "No, like I just enjoy things that people also do who may be white, but also Asian, so on and so forth." Right. So that's always been like a really annoying struggle, just because I shouldn't have to confirm my black identity with anyone, but then also like people don't want you to be too ghetto, like too black, right because then
so what do you consider, like I don't really, when you say a black identity, like what does that mean?
It really depends on who you're talking to. So in the sense where like, and I've even come across like my own friends like who'll be like, "Oh my God, like Brooke's so white, like blah blah blah." And in that sense I assume they mean that like it's like the Valley Girl mentality, like I'm in a sorority and I went to private school and like, you know, like I come from like an affluent upbringing, so apparently those things are parallel to being black in some world. Right,
so it's just still old school mindset and mentality a little bit that you're still dealing with?
Yeah, and it's like something small, like people don't realize like when they say it, like how it is offensive in a sense, because it means that like all the things that make me that are even like having to do with like money, like having to do with where I go to school, it somehow like coincides with being white, as if black people can't do these things. So
really, does that still exist, huh? I thought, are we doing better than we once upon a time were? Like, I mean, obviously I'm, you know, a white kid from London, Ontario, and so I'll never be able to experience what you've experienced going through with something as minor as skin color, right? I mean, it's just skin color. It's not, it shouldn't be a big deal, right? I mean, it's what's in here that counts. So how long, like, did you feel different the whole time that you were going through the schooling? Like, did anyone single you out, or was it tough at times, or?
The worst one was in grade 1, where that was at the time where I was literally the only black person in my school, because that's before my sister came into school, and then we were the 2 black kids in school.
Are you serious? Wow.
It was a really small Montessori school, and I was just like doing whatever, like it was like arts and craft or something, and then a girl came up to me, and then she was just like, why don't you go back to Africa?
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I was like, we were so young, like we were 6, like so obviously like it's not something that she could have known, like it's something that she like heard, because her parents came in and like they were like so shocked, like they like apologized to me formally as like a little 6-year-old, like they like went to my parents, were like, "I can't believe like she said this," and like from that like they almost like forced us into a friendship. So like,
serious?
Throughout my whole entire years, like until grade 6, like she was like my like best friend, because like our parents like always like wanted us to be together, I guess, in order for them to like
feel better about what happened. Wow.
Atonement, like
no kidding. So
she was like good after a while. She was just very surface level, and that's why like I guess our friendship didn't stick like past like the ages of like like 13.
Yeah.
But she's like a good person. Like it never ever, like race never ever came up again in our friendship. It came up,
okay, in your friendship. So, okay, so you're pretty much, you and your sister were the only black kids at Montessori, you said? And what grade was that till? Grade 8?
So that ended in grade 3, and then we went to a formal private school, and that one goes from like JK to grade 8.
Okay.
And
how was your experience there? Was it any different?
I was still the only dark-skinned black kid. There was a mixed kid in my class.
Okay, so you weren't completely alone, I guess, but still feeling pretty isolated, I guess.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have like a really strong sense of self. So like I never felt like the difference particularly. But when you get older, it's more like you're like, oh, like everyone has a crush on like so-and-so person. Like, why not me? Like, and then you're like, oh, like maybe it's just because like I'm like different looking.
right. For that particular spot, right? Wow. So that's after that you decided how did you decide criminology and how did you decide Western?
So initially I wanted to go into psych. A lot of my aunts, like they're psychiatrists, they're like all sisters and they're all psychiatrists.
Okay, that must be a fun family.
And I've always loved like people. Like that was my idea. I was like, I love people, so like let me do psych so I can like understand the mind. And in first year I did enjoy psych, but I took a sociology course and I was like, this is really what I want to know. Like not necessarily the brain itself, but human behavior.
Right.
And that's something more interesting. So I just decided to specialize in criminology because at the time I was like, like maybe I want to do law. Yeah. But I still really wanted just like that core base in sociology, and that's what Western's criminology program is. Like all of your programs are soc, like rather than crim.
Yep.
So I'm really happy with that decision.
Good.
Sociology, its best attribute is that it really gives you awareness of different experiences because like yes, like I'm like a black female, but that's just one intersectional experience. Like think of like the transgender experience, think of the people with exceptionalities or disabilities. Like those are all different experiences that I'll never understand fully. Sure. But through my studies, I'm able to empathize better.
Right. Very, very interesting. You're a smart girl. I like how you're pointing all these things out. So do you have any idea in the future of which route you're going to go when you graduate, or is that still up in the air?
I really like the idea, and this could be like me being like optimistic.
That's okay. Stay that way. Trust me, there's lots of time to get the shit kicked out of you and later in life. So keep that mentality.
It's just like we learn so much about media, and media holds so much power, right? Like it influences everyone. So if I go into communications and PR and could be the head of a non-for-profit or some way that I can convey different messages to people to allow them to know other people's experiences better, like that is my goal. Like if you change the message of media, like you can change our whole entire world.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do. I don't really know how I'm gonna get there. Like I don't know what the thing on my business card is gonna say yet.
Sure.
But I'm just trying to penetrate that sort of way of thinking.
Good for you. So you want to make an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing. And I mean, use this anytime as you feel free. Come on here, bring people on here if you want to use this as a platform. By all means.
And that's what I was thinking. Like when you explained what you were doing, I was like, wow, like that is something really significant. Like hearing different people's walks of life. Yeah. Like people don't realize how much of an impact that makes of you as a person to be able to learn and then be like, oh, like this is how someone went about their life. Maybe I can apply this way of thinking to my own life, or maybe I don't agree with it. Yeah. And then why don't I agree with it?
Right. So that's a big one,
really,
right?
Yeah, it just really digs at your layers. So it's something really cool.
Interesting. I really like your mindset already. I'm just getting to know you, but I like the way that you're thinking, and you're always, it seems like you look for different perspectives, which is really nice and refreshing.
Because I've had really good profs. Like they've really because I was like, oh, I'm so open and progressive, and then like someone was just like, hey Brooke, what do you think about smoking and drugs? And I was just like, people who do that are awful. And I was like, wait, like, why do I have this initial reaction to it? Like, right. And then that makes you dig at your own layers, and you're like, maybe I'm not so perfect and unaccepting of everyone.
So what's your feelings after your whole university experience of people that drink and do drugs and smoke and all that stuff? Have you changed your opinion on that?
I'm more open to it. So I'm not so stringent in the sense that I'm just like, people who smoke are deliberately like making the choice to like, because in my mind, like when I was a kid, I was like, okay, like smoking is bad. My favorite aunt smokes. Like, I wonder why. And then, like, and then like she like always was like, I want to quit smoking. And I was just like, why didn't she quit smoking? And then my dad was like, the reason like your aunt is single is probably because she smokes so much. And I was like, smoking must be so bad.
Right, sure.
So now like I'm like, there's so many different reasons. Like it can go to lower socioeconomic status, like it can go to even mental health, because it's just another way of stimulating yourself, right? So there's lots of different ways. I for one still haven't smoked anything. I haven't done anything harder than Tylenol as of yet.
Really? Good for you. You're not missing anything. I've done a lot of that stuff, and trust me, it's better off. I've been sober for 16, almost 17, no, almost half a year actually, or a year and a half. 18 months will be this year, or this May. So yeah, 18 months sober. Before that, I was a bit of a mess. I was one of those guys that would go out, drink, party, do blow, whatever, and it didn't serve me at all. It just made things worse. So, and let's get into the mental health stuff, because you and I kind of talked about it briefly before we started. So when you saw the title here, Sex and Suicide, what did you think? I'm always curious about.
Well, first I was like, I initially thought sex and submission. I was just like, oh, everyone's gonna know that I watch porn now. So I was like, but then I like looked into like actually like what your page was, and I was like, oh, this is a lot about mental health, and sex and suicide are the two most like taboo like topics of discussion, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I was just like, I think that that's pretty significant as well.
I'm glad that you got that, because usually it's interesting. Every time that I hand out one of these cards, at first I felt like I needed to explain it right off the bat, but now I'll wait to see what people's reactions are, because it shows me what they've kind of been programmed to think about one or the other.
Yeah.
So you can see just by the reaction if they kind of jump or if they kind of like think about it for a minute. You can see just by handing them a business card, which is really cool.
It's true. It's not porn, everyone, just so you know.
It's not porn. We're not about to get naked and have sex on the table or anything like that. So tell me about your porn addiction. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so let's get into, you were originally talking about, you haven't experienced sort of, you've been one of the lucky ones where you haven't really experienced any anxiety. I'm sure you've experienced some anxiety, everybody can, but you haven't had any bouts of depression or anything like that?
Yeah, so thus far in my life, everything that's been thrown at me has been, right? It's been very manageable, and I think that that's really great to say on like my family, the way I've been raised. Like I've had lots of support, and I've just been very, very fortunate in that sense. But when I came to university, you realize that people come from so many different places, and I was lucky enough to meet my really, really good friend. Now she's still my roommate, and she was at a very, very rough time in her life, and I never knew, because I saw her at a surface level. Oh, like she's my roommate, like, you know, like she gets a little bit sad when she's drunk, but like, you know, girls cry when they're drunk all the time. Yeah. And then and then things got very real as she began to become more comfortable with me. Yeah. And I just became her support system, and that was a really, really big part of my university experience, like just being there for her. And it was really, really hard at times, because you want to help this person and you want to be there for them, but then you're also like, I'm exhausted, and like staying by someone's bedside and you know, like tending to their wounds, like when it so happens to get to that point, is like a lot of pressure on one person. And like I would find myself like sitting in my car, like calling like the helpline, being like, am I doing enough? Like, is there something that I could have done differently? Like, she's still at this place, like what am I doing wrong that I can't help my friend out of this? Right. So it was really tough, and they were actually really, really good with that, and they told me that it's not on me. Like the real hardest thing about mental health is that it's something that has to come internally from that person. They have to go forth and really break out and get that counseling, get to that place where they need to be. And it took her a while. It literally was up until our second year where she hit the lowest point ever. And I was at a club, and she called me, and like she was like very frantic, and I was like, you know, like right now you're irrational, like do you want me to talk through it, like I can go in the bathroom with you? And then she's like, no, like this is different, like Brooke, like it's gotta end, like it's like, you know, like it's done.
Like she was talking about suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And I was like, so like I literally like just like I was like, hey, like I'm going, like got in a taxi, like went home, and like the state that like our house was in, like everything was thrown everywhere, like there were like papers, like she was like writing frantically, like just like different like things, and like she like locked herself like in the bathroom, and I was just like, hey, like how are you? Like her thing is like 1 to 10, so like that's like what has always been her thing, and she has to quantify like how she's feeling
on a
and
1 to 10 scale.
Yeah, and that itself grounds you in some sense, because it means that you actually have to understand like how you're feeling, and like, you know, like she was like 0 0 0 0 0, like
so that lowest being the worst. Okay.
Yeah, and like she doesn't usually say 0, so like I was just like, do I need to call someone, like you need to talk to me? And like she was like, call someone like right now. And I was like, you gotta open the door though, or else, you know, like I'll like break it down.
Yeah.
And like she opened the door, like she's like holding scissors, but like she's not like doing anything, she's like sitting. And then I was just like, hey, like, I'm staying here, like, and I'm gonna call like the police, like I'm gonna call 911. And like she's just like, you know, like do it if you have to, like I don't care. Like at that point, like she like switched, and like she was like aggressive, like she was just like, I don't know why you're doing this, is not a big deal, Brooke, like blah blah blah, like fuck this, fuck that, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then like they came, like the crisis team came, and like they kind of talked, and like the police officers like talked to me and my roommates, and that was like a really tough time for them too, because like they know of my friend's depression, but they're just kind of like, oh, like, you know, like she's mental health issues, like it's fine, like we don't deal with it, so it's like no. But then when they saw it like so real, like I could see like it like shook them. They
really?
were like, they were so scared, and like they were like, how are you so calm, like what are you doing? And I was like,
who was it? So who was it specifically that was scared?
My 2 other roommates.
Your 2 other roommates.
3.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you were the only one that was really keeping your shit together.
And that's just because like I've known her since my first year, right? Like, and I've been through it firsthand, and like it's unfortunate that they don't have the same relationship with her, but like, you know, like that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
But crisis team was really good. Like they were really, really great with her. Police officers in London.
Was the crisis team CMHA?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay, because I know that CMHA, which is Canadian Mental Health Association, has a mobile crisis team that gets called and comes out in situations like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were called when the police were called, or if the police got a hold of them.
Yeah, usually when you call for suicide attempts, they get a crisis team too, because like police officers are not always equipped for that. Because that's happened to me in another instance too, in which I like was like, you guys need to show a little more empathy. Like I understand that you guys are police officers, but
right?
Like,
you don't understand what's going on in this person's mind right now. Yeah, and I think that to be fair to the police department, from what I understand, yeah, I totally get it. I've seen that asshole approach, and the coming in with that attitude of the authority figure. But at the same time, I think they're doing more to reach out now and to understand mental health better, because it's becoming such a just an epidemic, really.
Yeah, and it's really, really important to understand, because I remember even one time where she was so drunk that she passed out, where is it? By like 695, like on like Richmond Road, like because she was
by the
so she was so drunk, and like she was so upset, and like she was like throwing up, crying. So like I had to call someone, because no cab would take us, and like I couldn't physically lift her to our house.
Sure.
So, and the paramedic who came was so callous, and like because she just assumed, like she was just like, oh, this girl's, she drank too much, like she's drunk. And I told her, I was just like, my friend has mental health illness. I was like, this is not just like a drunk girl. I was like, you need to cater to that.
Sure.
Like she was like it's 2 a.m. She was like, I know this type of case, and like she would not let me come in the ambulance with her, and
really?
I was so furious, like I was so angry. And then when my roommate came back, like she was just so like sad and like disappointed in herself. She was like, she was like, I didn't need to get my stomach pumped, like they like basically took me there, like sent me back. Like she was just like, I'm so sorry, Brooke, I'm so sorry. And like I was like, it's not like your fault, like I'm really sorry, like the way they dealt with you, because it didn't need to be dealt with like that. Like the fact that you were drunk is one factor, but it's also fueled by what you're dealing with internally, right? So like I was really, really disappointed with that, with that experience.
I think that, I mean, obviously when you add drugs and alcohol into the mix with somebody that's already dealing with a mental illness, it can amplify things, and things can go very bad very quickly, depending on how much they've taken and what they've taken. So good for you for at least having the insight into. This is the thing. The world needs more people like you, because I understand that when you're in a job, whether it's being a paramedic or being a police officer or being someone that obviously you're dealing with people on a regular basis, sometimes you build up an immunity to that. And you just kind of, you lose your sympathy and your empathy for what the other person is going through. But it seems like you kind of held your shit together in a situation. Obviously you knew her a little better in all fairness, but still, they should have listened to you. Yeah, they really should have. And I think that this is just the problem that we deal with, is that we need to be better and better equipped to deal with mental health issues, regardless of where they are. They're going to happen, whether people are drunk or not on the street. Yeah. And just to really be knowledgeable about this thing that we've tried to avoid for fucking ever, right? And no one wanted to talk about. So I think you did a fantastic job. It sounds like you did everything that you could have done for this person, and wow, just wow. Good for you.
She's honestly, she's wow, because like the place that she is now, like she's given up on drinking. Like she does it very, very sparingly, and like never to a point of intoxication. Like she's grown so much. Like she hasn't cut in what's gonna be a year, and like she's just so different. She's in a great stable relationship with like a great she has a great girlfriend, and I just think that it's really, really brilliant that she was able to get to this point. And yes, like I supported her, but like there's no way that she could have gotten to that place without her solely wanting to make herself better and to just really deal with it, because right, like mental illness never goes away, right? Like you can cope with it, like you can medicate it, but like it's never gone. And she's very, very self-aware now. Like she knows when she's down, like she knows when she's anxious, and like just like thinking of like the person who she used to be, like it like amazes me like every time.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. That's a success story,
right? Like,
so it really is. I mean, someone that went from being at a 0, which apparently on your scale that you developed, which is a fucking fantastic idea, but I mean, if she's being at a 0 and potentially thinking about ending her own life, to being the position she is today, that's an inspirational story for someone that feels like they're at a 0 right now. So something like that is, I love hearing shit like that. That's fantastic, because it means someone stuck with it and someone sort of realizes that they're here for a reason, right? Which is kind of your belief system as well, or your mom's belief system that kind of wore off on you. So I think that's fantastic. And how did you find dealing with someone that was sort of going through these mental, I guess we can call them just kind of bouts of, was it depression that she was going through?
Yeah, she's depression and anxiety.
So is she on medication for those now?
So just this year she started medication, and it's like, it's a topsy-turvy. So like she was getting really bad headaches because the dosage was too high, so now she's cut it, and it's just kind of finding like a good mix. But she says that it does really help. That's specifically for anxiety, for medication, and she says that it definitely has been helping. But she's like, it's just finding the right amount that like it doesn't like throw my body like out of whack.
That's interesting too, because when you get on those medications, it's kind of, well, like you doing your dance, you're kind of dancing with the medication, because it takes a little bit of time to work. And you're not going to get it right usually the first time. Usually it takes a few times, whether it's the right medication or the right dose. But it sounds like she's doing better. If it's helping her, stay with it, you know?
Yeah, right? Yeah. So I'm really proud of her.
Has she done any, and she can, when she's ready, if she wants to come on here, she's more than welcome to, because the more people that can actually try to explain what it is that they've gone through, and you obviously do a great job of doing it from being sort of firsthand, but the more people that can kind of explain that, I think the better the conversation and the more open it will be, you know, hopefully worldwide eventually. But Maybe I've got that optimism still too, just like you.
It's true though, and I think she's working towards it because like she's like a shy person inherently. She's like an introvert, but she's a poet and she's a writer.
Good for her.
So through her writing, it's also like cathartic, right? And like she's able to share her experiences in that sense too. Like she writes for the Western Mind, which is just like a little column that like Western does. Like it's by a group of Western students specifically about mental health and like the different avenues of that, and she got a writer position with them this year, which is really, really awesome because that's what she was born to do. Like she's a brilliant writer, like amazing.
Awesome. So let's talk about you now. How did that affect you? This whole I mean, why do you think this happened? Why do you think that you were paired up with this individual? You just sort of, was it just the luck of the draw that you became roommates?
That's one.
That's one, okay.
But I think that people will come into your life like for a specific reason. Like in that sense with her, like, you know, like I lived a very privileged life. Like, yes, like whatever, like I was the only black kid in my class, but there are far worse fates
right,
for people. Like I had a very affluent upbringing and I never experienced that, and then getting to meet Hannah changed my mindset on a lot of things. Like I thought that suicide was selfish. I was like, I understand mental health is a bad thing, but I was just like, it can't be that bad that you can't like pull yourself out of it.
Right. So you didn't understand it very well in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just understood at a very like surface level. I was like, okay, like you have depression, like take depression meds. You have anxiety, like learn to be around people more. Like I just thought it was like very like
black and white.
Like literally like black and white.
Yeah. No pun intended about your schooling. But
it's us.
Yeah. So how did you find, like, obviously you learned a lot about mental health in the process of dealing with this individual. Was there ever any times where you just wanted to say fuck this, like I can't handle it?
Not necessarily, but it was really hard at first because especially in our first and second year, because when she was drunk, a lot of aggression would be at me, and I just kind of like learned how to swallow it. And like I remember one instance, like specifically, like I was like, you know, like hooking up, like seeing a boy, like whatever.
Okay,
and
we'll
like,
talk about that in a minute.
And like we were at a club, and like she was like obviously very intoxicated, and I was just like, I'm gonna go home, like would you want to come home with me? And like she was just like, oh, like you're just gonna go suck so and so's dick, like whatever, slut. Like, and I was like,
oh really?
Like that one like really, really hurt me, just because there was already drama like surrounding like the boy, like, so I was just like, man, like you're usually like the one person who's like in my corner,
right? And
like after that, like her and I like had like a conversation about it, and like she just completely understood. Like she was just like, I know that I was like intoxicated, and like I know that like I have like my own mental health issues, but like she was like, what I did was inexcusable.
Right.
Like she's like, and I want you to know that like I recognize that like what I did was hurtful to you, and like that. And like just like instances like that, and like having, because we get into things like that a lot, like especially when you're dealing with someone, like you don't realize that like little things, like I would like tease her in some certain sense, and like that would trigger like anxiety, and I would have to get past that. And like she would say certain things when she's in an irrational state that would like hurt me, and like she would have to really work through getting past that. So like we've done a lot of growing within our friendship that like has like been like hard, because like she knows how much she means to me, so she knows how much like when she's in a state that like she's being abrasive, like that, like it's hard for me to like deal with it, but like she'll always come back and like apologize for it, and like even that to me like means enough.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like the skills that you've built, I'm listening to these conversations, and people my age, I'm going to be 34 soon, so people my age aren't having these mature conversations. So good for you. It sounds like you guys both learned a lot through this relationship that you had. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to help you in the future?
Just like I always say, like awareness is kind of like the overarching like term of what I use. Of just like really knowing someone's experience and then being able to apply it to different situations. So in philosophy, like we learned about like moral deference, which is the sense that like you'll never be able to walk in someone's shoes. So if someone explains an experience to them, you just defer to them. Like you just understand that you won't understand it, so you just have to accept what they say as
right.
fact. And I think that that's something that's really, really hard for people to do for whatever reason. Like when someone says like, I can't come to work, like, you know, like I just had a panic attack. Like, you know, like I've heard someone have a panic attack, like you're fine afterwards, like you can operate, like why not just defer to them and understand that you can't experience what they're experiencing ever, so you just have to take their word for it. And that's something that is really, really awesome, and more people need to do, because just by hearing someone else, like you learn so much, like and I just want to do that through my entire life, like meet everyone from different walks of life, so then I can somehow find a way to apply it, and like maybe the empathy that I've learned in someone else, I can apply it to another person and really get to a different layer of a relationship through that. So I think that's something that's really cool.
Yeah, I think you're going to be great with people. That's my insight from that, is I think down the road you're going to be very well-rounded when it comes to handling any kind of situation that comes at you. Because you're talking to me, and I feel like at your age, I feel like I'm talking to someone either my age or more mature than me. So that's awesome. I really want to explore this potential guy that you were hooking up with as well. So let's talk about your high school experience, and if you're willing to go into it. Obviously, I'm not going to force you to. It's all about consent here. But if you want to talk about some of the sexual relationships or some of the relationships in general, however deep you want to go, talk about the university experience, coming away from, going away from home, being sort of at UWO for your first time, because UWO is known as like a party kind of school, right?
Yeah.
And talk about some of the activities that you do as well, and some of the dating experiences that you had. Let's just hear how it is to be your age, a student dating. Let's talk about that for a little bit, especially when you come from a different background. I mean, did you find that Western was a little more diverse than you were used to or was it still like, I'm the black girl and these are the white kids? Has it been that way the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Western is a snowflake town, unfortunately. That's what we call it.
London?
Not even London, because London in itself is diverse. It's the student bubble that's not diverse. Okay,
so the student bubble is still predominantly white people. Was that correct? Okay. Yeah. So did you experience any racism at school, or was everybody fairly good?
I experience it in little bouts. I find that I mostly experience it in like I guess I can say in like a sexual way, because like if I go to a club, this literally happened to me at Prague.
Okay.
Like literally just last Saturday. It was
really okay.
So like I was like walking, like I was leaving Prague. Like my friend was with the guy who she's seeing. I was like, okay, like I've served my purpose. I'm gonna go.
Okay. Yeah.
And like not even like 2 paces when I stepped away from her and I was alone, like some guy's like, hey, you know what I like? Dark chocolate. And I was like,
how does that make you feel when you hear that?
I just don't understand how people think that that's gonna work.
Yeah,
like it's
just a cheesy.
I'm like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, yes, I love the swirl. Like I literally don't. So I looked at him and I was just like,
are you fucking serious?
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, no, like I really like dark chocolate. And I was like, okay, Willy Wonka, like I'm this way. And that happens like so often that it's unbelievable. Like the way like people
approach you. Is it usually white guys that approach you and say that shit? Yeah, always. Yeah. So how do you like to be approached? I'm pretty self-confident. Like, so if someone just was like, hey, like you're hot, like I'd be like, thanks. Yeah, sure.
You're right.
Yeah, fair enough. So what would intrigue you if a guy? So for all the dumb idiots out there that are approaching you and saying, "Hey, I like dark chocolate," what's the better thing to say to get you to respond?
Just like talk to me. Like I've never been like the person, like even in a club setting where like, you know, like people are like trying to hook up. Like if someone approaches me with a conversation, I'll respond with a conversation.
Sure.
So it's just like, hey. I'd be like, hi. Like,
yeah.
That's as easy as it goes. And then we talk, and then I'm like very receptive. Like even if I think that like your sole goal is to like hook up with me, like I'll still indulge you in conversation, because like what if it's not? Like I can't read minds.
You're very wise, and I like that approach, because you're not judging, right? You could, right? I mean, you could judge every guy that looks at you, especially after being called dark chocolate so many times. But good for you. I like that you keep an open mind. And how has that worked for you, keeping an open mind through your dating experience?
Well, I don't really have a dating experience.
Okay, so let's talk about. Are you single?
Yeah.
You are single. Okay, so gentlemen, single. Just don't call her dark chocolate. Okay.
Yeah. I've had better names.
Better names. Okay, so what are some of the names that you'd prefer to be called?
It's funny because I like joked and I like told a guy, like I was just like, why don't you just call me Princess instead? And then like throughout like the whole like text conversation, he was like, Princess. But you don't have to call me that.
Only if you want to.
Just call me Brooke.
Just call you Brooke. So what has the dating life been like for Brooke?
I really like, and that's something that I talk about a lot because I really don't understand the dating culture now. Like,
yeah, me
and
neither.
I say now, like I'm like so old, and I had a relationship, but like, but the way I understand it is that like I really just don't know how you get past like that like hookup threshold because like.
Is that what's going on these days? Everybody's just hooking up and that's it?
Yeah, and it's like crazy because like you can have a great connection with someone and then like you guys like hook up like regularly, but then it like doesn't go past that. It's like you're friends and you hook up, like the whole like fuck buddy mentality.
Yeah,
and that's fine in a certain sense, but I just won't understand that if you enjoy someone's company, you're attracted to them sexually, like why not date them? Like,
right.
It just doesn't.
It seems like everybody just wants to stay single just to see what else comes along.
Which is terrible. Like I did an essay on the consumerism of dating in like this generation, and like it was just like an analysis of Tinder and Bumble and
I'm
apps
so
like
curious
these.
about this.
It's really awesome. I wanted to do my thesis on it, but like no thesis for me.
Okay, so tell me what you found out. What did you discover?
So there's a philosopher and he speaks about modern liquidity.
Okay.
And it's basically in the sense that now in like modern times we want everything to be liquid. Like it just flows through and it never really has a stop. So we look at dating and we want to get instant gratification. We want to see how many things we can flow through and it just kind of never really stops, which is really sad. And then another person talks about the consumerism of dating, how we look at dating like it's like shopping online, right?
Yeah.
You see a trait that you don't like, okay, we swipe left.
Yeah.
You see a trait that you do like at the service level, we swipe right. Oh, you talk to a person, man, like I'm kind of bored. Let me sign off Amazon.com and go somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it really devalues the human interaction experience when you get so used to just seeing people for their aesthetics, right?
Sure, yeah.
And like this person says that like it's deteriorated, like she's very negative and she's like it's deteriorated the whole dating experience, like we're gonna have higher divorces and less marriages in the future, like so on and so forth, which I don't necessarily believe, but I do believe that especially in the generation that I am in, that we definitely really have a problem with connecting at deeper levels, and it's almost like we're scared of it. Like intimacy is something that people don't really get to find now because everything is so fast paced. Like your internet doesn't work for 5 seconds. Like you're like,
yeah, no, I know. I've had that happen today. The intimacy thing is really interesting that you bring that up, because intimacy is something that is very, very like you're right, it's hard to come by these days, but the reward when you find it, there's nothing better. There really isn't, and it's depressing and it's disappointing that people are so focused on this surface level shit. And I mean that's why this is here, is at least people are getting to know you, right? I mean, yeah, we posted your picture and everything, and people might have seen like, oh, she's pretty hot, I'll tune in, but now they get to know a thing or two about you, right? And what you've been through, and the fact that like obviously you have a great head on your shoulders. You've had some struggles dating so far, but it seems like you've got the right idea.
And I've met some like great people, like, you know, like I've done my fair bit of hooking up.
But have you ever wanted more? Have you ever had more than hooking up, or has it just been?
Not recently. Like when I was young, like I had like a boyfriend, but like I was like.
I like how you put that in quotes. A boyfriend, okay.
Hey Jeremiah, what's up?
Yeah. Okay.
But I haven't had anything that's gone past like the hooking up point. Like
really,
what is 19 of them.
What is it that you want? All 19 of them? Is that your number? Is that your hookup number? 19.
Yeah, 20 is gonna be my husband.
20 is gonna be your husband. Okay.
That's like a joke that me and all my friends have, because they're like, Brooke's saving number 20.
19, good for you. So, so these
Sorry,
are just
Mom.
these are just hookups. So you never found anything deeper.
They were a good amount of them are my friends, and like I'm happy in that sense that like they respected me. So I never, not for all of them, but like for a good amount of them, like let's say like 90%, like they were my good friends, and like we had a good understanding of like what the relationship was. But like there's always like a little part of you that's like, oh, like they're like attracted to me, like, you know, like we hang out together, like you enjoy my company, so it's like, why aren't we dating? Like but then like I feel like I've like conditioned myself to just like push past it. Like even like the guy who I most recently was hooking up with, like literally great guy, like he hangs out with me, he likes my roommates, he likes my friends, like me and him like go out to the bars together and then come home together. And then like a part of me is just like, I don't like, why aren't we dating? Like it doesn't make sense.
So why aren't you dating?
Well, he's graduated now, like he's back at home.
Okay.
And like me and him like had like a brief conversation about it. He doesn't believe in monogamy, which I'm like, that means that you're scared of monogamy. No one doesn't believe in monogamy. It's like you're saying, like you see a unicorn in front of you and you're like, oh, like this is unnatural. Like I don't believe in unicorn. Or you're just scared because you've never seen one in person.
Fair enough. Monogamy is something that is obviously doable. Lots of people are doing it. It's not easy. And the more that I research it, the more that people seem to be saying at the base of it all, we're just animals and we're not meant for monogamy. But we also have a conscious brain and we have feelings and emotions, so that creates, you know, a worthwhile relationship and staying open and honest and truth and loyal to each other, really. But it's not for everyone, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the younger generation is all into hooking up, and really that's it. Because even the younger generation, when I talk to some of these women, even if they do have boyfriends and I find out they have boyfriends, they make themselves very available in that moment. And I don't know if that's a common thing or if it's just...
I don't know, like, it's such a weird dynamic because, like, I'm, like, a very, like, sex-positive person. Like, I love having sex, but I also really enjoy the relationships that I have with people, so it's always very confusing to me, like, why, for some reason, like, people don't want to have both, because I've never been in love before, but my understanding of it is that it's something, like, brilliant, like, and something that's, like, of course, hard, you have to work through things, but you work through every single relationship in your life, like, you'll do anything for something that's worth it. I'm like, love is worth it, like. Yeah.
You've never been in love?
Nah.
Really?
Like, Jeremiah, maybe. Like,
maybe, yeah.
We were, like I said,
give him a bone, toss him a bone.
God, he's in the O now, so if you want to marry me.
Well, listen, keep your positive outlook on life and keep that going into the future, because there are guys that still believe in it and see the deeper meaning. I think that this is a phase. I think that it will blow over and it will pass. I hope so, because people are I mean, there's lots of sex happening, which I guess isn't a bad thing as long as it's consensual and as long as people are having fun, make each other feel good. But if you really want to get to a deeper connection and you're going to start to feel things that you haven't felt before, I mean, when you're in love with someone and you're experiencing all these different types of sex, so you're kind of like exploring each other's bodies in new and exciting ways, you're going to feel things you've never felt before. It's not going to feel like your hookup sex. It's going to feel deeper, it's going to feel better, it's going to feel more connecting, and that's something that people are missing out on by just these random hookups and fucking chuck kind of mentality, right?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but like I say, like, if something's worth it, like, I feel like people will make the effort. Like, that's like my dream, like, whatever. Currently I have like a crush. Those are I love having crushes. I think they're so fun, and it's so funny because he's good friends with like my really close guy friend, and like I talk to my guy friend as if like me and him are already dating, and like it like drives him nuts. Like, he's like, you're actually psychotic, and I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, me and him, I'm gonna say his name and like he's gonna know.
Yeah, you don't have to say his name if you don't want to.
I'm the worst name dropper. I do it all the time.
That's okay. You can drop first names. We try not to drop last names here. We don't want to spread anyone's business too much, right? But well, I appreciate you being so open and honest with your relationships and your sex and your 19 guy, all guys, or have you experienced with women as well?
Nah, my friend, like, this whole, like, semester, like, she's bisexual. Like, she's like, Brooke, like, you have to experience it.
Me? Did she say you have to experience me kind of thing?
That's what I felt.
Yeah, nice.
Like, Alex, like, I see you. She wouldn't even care. Like, she literally, like, I call her, like, she's like, I call her Mama Ho because she's the most sex positive person I've ever met. And, like, the confidence that comes out of her, like, because she's been with, like, guys, girls, and, like, she's had both relationships, like, respectively, and she just has such a strong sense of self. And I was just like, you're like her. You're like the mother hen, like.
Yeah, queen bee. Sure, good for her. Okay, so obviously you're just sort of, you know that you're heterosexual and that's what you're sticking with. Mm-hmm. You love guys, love dick kind of thing.
It was, my dad asked me, like, because I've never been in relationships, like, my parents, like, went through a phase where they were, like, really concerned. Like, they were like, why isn't my daughter had a boyfriend? And, like,
they wanted you to have a boyfriend, really?
Yeah, and, like, I came home and my dad's like, oh, like, how's school? And I'm like, it's good, hung out with this person, did that, like, blah blah blah. And I was like, so are you into girls? And I was like, sorry, what?
Your dad said that to you?
Yeah. And then I was just like, no. And then he's like, I don't know, like, you've just never had a boyfriend. And then, like, I can't, like, be like, Dad, like, I just sucked dick last week. Like, but
yeah, that would have been a little bit too far, I guess, eh?
Yeah, but I'm straight.
So I love your energy, by the way. This is fun. I love it when people can be open, and I'm really encouraging sex positive mindset, sex positive everything. Have you ever had a negative sexual experience?
The worst one that I had was probably, it was like another like race issue, because like this guy was in my class and like he made it like very known like that he was like attracted to me, and I was like, oh, like that's nice, like blah blah blah. But he was like really aggressive, so like I like went to the bathroom like during class, and then he came and he like cornered me and he was like, oh, like I want to kiss you so badly, and then he like kissed me, and I was like,
in the washroom?
Outside the bathroom.
Outside the bathroom.
Yeah,
okay.
And I was just like, oh my god, like chill out, like blah blah blah.
This is in the middle of like school?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Talbot College, people.
Really? People are getting aggressive in Talbot College, huh?
Yeah, and it was like so weird, and I was just like, I don't know, like maybe this is hot. Like I didn't really know how I felt about it. Like I was like really confused. It was in my philosophy of evil class too.
So you're already thinking.
Yeah, and then like finally like I was going home for the break. Like he lives in London, and like he was just like, hey, like what are you doing? Like do you want to hang out? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he came over, and then like we like banged, but like he was just like, oh, like your black skin, like, oh, like your black tits, like, oh. And I was like,
he just kept commenting on your skin?
Mm-hmm. And then he was like, this is better than ebony porn. And
really? That's what he said. How did that make you feel?
I was like in shock. Like it was like looking back, it was like very funny.
Yeah.
And it was like really quick. Like it was literally 5 minutes. Like so like I didn't have like too much time to be like in like but it was like crazy. Like I was just like, wait, what? Like I've never been like fetishized like that. Like
no kidding.
It was like weird. Like it wasn't like negative, it was just like weird.
Right.
And like now I like see him in passing, and like he's like so awkward, and like sometimes like he'll like be like, can I FaceTime you? Like I want a cam, and I'm like, no.
Was it just the one time? You didn't want to give him? Did he want to have a second like round two, and you were just like, you're done with it?
Yeah, like I was just like sketched by him. Like I was like, you're so weird. I was just like, I don't know if this is a compliment that you're like really into black girls, or like that you just like see it as like cool kink. Like I don't even know.
Huh.
It was like the weirdest experience of my life. And it's funny because the show Chewing Gum, I don't know if you ever heard of it, it's on Netflix.
I'll have to watch it.
Season 2, episode 2. She's like seeing this guy, and like she's like not like hot. Like that's like the whole big joke of the show. And like he's like, you're so beautiful, like I love you, like da da da. And like she goes back to his place, and then he's like, oh, like put on like the outfit that I bought for you, like, you know, like say that thing that I like. And she's literally in full African like costume, like with all the paint and like everything, and like she's like doing like chants, and like he's like jerking off to it, and I was like, oh my god, like, and I like literally messaged my friends like,
this is what,
and
I was
like dude, like it was so funny, like I was dying, but I was so uncomfortable because I was just like, man.
Oh man. But in terms of, I mean, everything that you've experienced, you haven't experienced any like drugs in your drink or anything?
No, I'm very, very fortunate, and like it's been positive thus far. Like I make it a point, like I probably only had sex on maybe 2 occasions where I was like intoxicated, like drunk, like, and one of them was with the guy who I was hooking up with like for a long time.
Sure.
So like we were like, I like trust him solely, and then like one was like Halloween, so like you already know that was like
yeah.
That was a bad decision.
Halloween?
Yeah. I was a schoolgirl, so you know that it was a hot mess.
Yeah, sure. I bet it was fun for the guy though.
He was so weird too.
Was he?
Sometimes I just attract like weirdos. He was like, oh, like I want to do like butt stuff, and I was just like, oh, like I've never done anal. And like he was like, no, like I want you to do butt stuff to me.
Really?
Yeah, like he wanted me to put my finger in his asshole, and then I was drunk, so I did.
Yeah, sure. So obviously you're a pretty open-minded girl then.
Yeah, I still haven't done anal.
You still haven't done anal?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, is it something that you want to do in the future?
I was thinking about doing it with the guy who I was seeing, but like I feel like it takes a while before you get used to it. Right. And like he was like graduating. I was just like, I don't want to like have to go through all the trouble and then you're gonna leave and then I have to find someone to like pick up where you left off in the journey. Like, it just seemed like too much work.
That's awesome. So you obviously, and I agree with you there. I think it takes some practice to before work it up and kind of to make you comfortable, really.
And my best friend had like an awful anal story, like an awful one.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, it's so funny.
Okay, let's talk about it.
I have one name dropper because like she's the craziest person I know.
Okay.
And basically like she was like hooking up with this guy and like he was like, oh, like let's do anal. Like she was like drunk and she was just like, yeah, sure. And like he like started and then like he like pulled out like so quickly and like he had like a like white bed, like it was like a pristine white bed.
Oh, I know.
And she like shit all over it, like all over it. And then like he was like, oh man, like let's shower. And then she was like, okay. And then like she was like, it was like so gross. She was like, it was like there was just like shit on like his dick, and then like he like wanted me to give him head, and she said it was okay because like there was like running water, and like she was like, I couldn't do it. And then like he like went back in the room,
yeah,
and then like she like barked. It was just like the worst story I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my god!
And she was telling me, I was like, I can't believe this happened. And she was just like, yeah, so like now I'm just gonna do anal like every other month.
That's awesome. Well, that's a great story. So did they, like, what happened with the sheets? Did he just toss them out?
Honestly, like, he was a dick, so, like, I'm happy that she did it.
Yeah.
He's a frat boy.
So you're in a sorority. So what do you just kind of rolled your eyes about frat boys. So are frat boys bad news? Do sorority girls not like frat boys? I thought they were kind of like brother and sister or incestuous kind of brother and sister. But how does that work around here? Tell me about the sorority and the frat life. What sorority are you in, by the way?
I'm in Pi Phi.
Pi Phi.
Or Pi Beta Phi. That's our
Pi Beta Phi. Mm-hmm. I saw the Pi Phi hashtagged it. I was like, I'm gonna hashtag her sorority. Yeah. Perfect. So Pi Phi, and then and what's your outlook on sororities and frats? I
like my sorority. Like, I wouldn't say that it like changed my life if I'm being like completely honest. But
Is it supposed to?
Like, apparently, like really? You don't pay $1,000 to like just like be like cruising through.
Right. Sure.
But I have been. Yeah. But like I've really enjoyed my experience. Like there's like times where I'm just like, like these are my sisters, and like there are times where I'm just like, I'm just here.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm just hanging out with you guys. But yeah, there's been a really good experience with them. Like we've had like girl drama, but like we have a bunch of girls like who have to like hang out with each other all the time. Like there's bound to be drama.
Yeah.
But it's good. Frat boys, on the other hand, like,
yeah, tell me about them. Tell me
they're
about
like
frat boys.
An iffy one with me because like you can't label everyone like based off of their thing. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say all frat boys are awful, but like there's certain frats who like are like their trademark is that they're like the douchey frat guys, the Sigma Chi.
I think someone brought that frat up on one of the other podcasts too. Mm-hmm. So that's the bad one. That's the douchebag one.
Yeah, but like that's the one where like everyone wants to fuck. Like like I don't like every girl wants to like hook up with the Sig. Like it's
really, really.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, they'd probably be good for the show then.
Yeah, like find one there. What is their house again? Oh man, I can't remember. Ride Out. There we go.
On Ride Out Street.
Yeah.
Right on.
Like I've met like nice guys in there, but sure. I just like I know like some things that like go on, and I'm like I don't judge anyone for like having like a large amount of people who like you've slept with, but I do judge you if you like paraded around like having like, oh, like I have 100 kills, like I pull.
Is that what they say? I pull 100
I
kills?
I just had a conversation because like people don't know what pull means apparently. Like it's like you pull bitches like towards you, like so they want to hook up with you.
Really?
I guess it's like a Brit term. Like I don't like my mom is British.
Yeah.
And like I watch like British television.
Well, you said telly earlier, so
yeah, that's like
yeah, that was awesome. So okay, that's interesting because I've never really indulged in the frat sorority lifestyle, but I feel like there's a lot of great stories, and hopefully they're all positive. I mean, if anybody's if they're bragging about like stuff that isn't consensual, then I have a fucking massive problem.
And there's been problems with that at Western. Like there have been like, you know, like rape cases, like even within my own sorority. And like what really bothers me to my core is when things aren't dealt with the way that they're supposed to. Like there should never be any covering up. Like I would far more respect someone who like recognized what they did was wrong and like try to make amends, even if you can't. Like sometimes you really just can't.
Yeah.
But like trying to like brush it under the rug, like trying to like no, like I think that's awful. And that doesn't happen a lot here at Western, but that's also because of the nature of our Greek life is not as big as it could be. But I'm sure in the States, like places like that, like it's amplified far more because when you have a culture that does party, like we do great things, like philanthropy is amazing. Greek, like there are great things done there, people doing great things, but there's always going to be underlying issues, like where there's a lack of knowledge and where there's a lack of consent.
Sure, and that line when it gets blurred with alcohol and drug use or whatever. I mean, obviously, I know that you can't give consent when you're in an inebriated state. It's like a contract. Most people feel like, oh, well, if I'm drunk too, then it's okay. That's not really going to fly. It's going to happen regardless. I know that most people are hooking up because of alcohol, so it's not like, when you go to the bar, it happens. But to give proper consent, you really need to be sober. You really need to be in a state of mind where you can continually withdraw that consent. That's what a lot of people don't understand, is if you give consent at one point in time, you can take that away, and you need to be able to take that away at any point in time too, meaning if you pass out, you can no longer give consent. You don't have consent anymore.
Yeah, right?
Right.
That's something so important, and I don't know, it's just being able to talk about it, that like people really not be afraid, like be like, yeah, like I was like really drunk, so like maybe I did something wrong, like let me have that conversation with that person and make sure that we're on the same page. Like one thing that I actually really, really respect about my sorority is that we don't do jungle juice anymore. Like that's like where like you pay a certain money, like you pay a certain amount of money, the frats like buy a bunch of liquor, like put it all together, like and then like that's what you have for like that party, that mixer. Right. And we only do BYOB because then we can keep track of the amount of alcohol that girls are drinking. Like even when we have pre's together, like you're encouraged to all pre together, so then the sober sisters can monitor how much people are drinking.
Good for you.
And like you're not allowed to go upstairs, like ever.
So you set these rules to avoid putting yourself in situations that can get you into trouble at these parties. That's what we need. We need more proactive stuff like that happening for sure.
And like we're really pushing for frats to start doing sober brothers, because they don't do that. Like if you're in a frat party and if you're one of the brothers and you're sober, it's like by coincidence. It's not intentional. Like we have to have sober sisters. Like it's just like something that we think is important, and like I think that frats should have that too, because like why not have accountability like with your own boys? Like DU is a frat who really does the most with that, which I really enjoy. Like if they host an open party, people aren't allowed to make out against walls. Why? Because you can't tell what's consensual in that sense. Like people can't like hook up in the house unless they know that this person is not too drunk. Like obviously there's blurred lines there, but at least they're really, really trying to
I like that.
Never have a situation where like something will happen. And like there's been a situation where like a brother has been like too abrasive, they kicked him out. Like,
good. I like that. I think that's something that I'm hearing for the first time, and that's something that I think is a great idea. I think that this sober brother thing needs to be implemented, not just here but everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there should be consistent rules for fraternities and for sororities to keep each other safe. I don't know why it became like, it's never fucking cool if someone's taking advantage of someone and they're not okay with it. That's not a fucking okay thing to do. And so I don't understand why this hasn't been done earlier, because there seems to be enough cases where this is a problem. But
it's tough because like parties, like spoiler alert, like parties aren't allowed in like Greek. Like it's like something that like has come out of it, but like technically sororities can't have parties. Like we're not allowed to have parties with frats. We're allowed to go to parties, and like we all happen to be there at the same time. Right. Woo.
But you're not supposed to like join together and throw them. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like mixers like aren't allowed, and we don't do mixers.
Do you enjoy your sorority parties that you have on your own? It sounds like you've taken some great precautions. Do you still have fun? Like, this is what I want people to know, that you don't have to get shit-faced drunk. You can still get a buzz and be okay and make sure, like, taking care of each other is fucking far sexier to me, and it should be to pretty much everyone, than not knowing what's going on and trust me, I've been there. I'm no fucking saint, but now I've learned a lesson from all of this, and watching and having people on here. It's trying to figure out what we can do to help each other. So that we can all have sex positive attitudes, and we can all help each other through the mental health stuff, because at the end of the day it's all combined by this, right? I mean, it's the most powerful sexual organ, and it's usually what's going to give you the trouble with anxiety, stress, the chemicals being released, right? So the thoughts that you think.
And I just think that's important. Like, conversations are always the start of anything, right? Like, we have conversations in Greek about like, hey, like, how are we going to stop so-and-so from happening? Like, what are we going to do about our image? Like, if people think that we're partying too much, let's change that. Like, let's actually take the steps to do this. And I think once you do that in any setting, because this can be done anywhere. Like, I know Western is constantly afraid of like this partying culture, but like, honestly, like if you go to Western, like you know that like you party so hard because you study so hard. Like,
sure, yeah. Do you think that's one of the reasons why in in colleges and universities people get so shit faced, is because they're under so much pressure now and so much stress?
I think that's a part of it. Yeah. I think the freedom is a big part of it too, because like
no parents.
Yeah, and like I experienced, like I never partied in high school. Like I never touched alcohol. Like I was like DD for life.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And it's not necessarily because like I wasn't interested in it. It's like that like initial fear, right? Like even if you have great like loving like supporting parents like I do, like I was just like, I don't want to ever do anything bad that like disappoints them. Like they do so much for me. Like I'm not gonna do it. And I came to Western, and like I've only really had like one bad like drunk experience, and like I was like asking for it. Like it's not even like I was like, oh, I lost count of my drinks. I was like, how many drinks can I mix in one thing? Like,
really? So you were just out to destroy your body that night?
Yeah, because I was just like, oh, like I like peach vodka. Let me put it in this cup. Oh, I like breezers. Let me put it in this cup. And then I threw up, and then I was just like, hey, Brooke, like figure it out. Right. So like from them, like I've like figured it out, right? But I think some people, even people who are not severely mentally ill, like there's a fear and there's like a social anxiety of going out in public and like being like this like party culture, and like people think they need to be drunk. Like even like my very best friend, like she will not go out unless she's drunk. Like she will not have a good time, and I'm like, dude, like I'm telling you, like once you break out of that, like you will have the best time of your life, because then you have choice.
Yeah, sure.
Like you have choice whether or not you want to have a good night or whether or not you just want to have a chill night. Like, because you can have a good night sober. Like I literally do it all the time. Yeah. But I'm like lucky, and like I like to dance. Like, and it's not even like I always dance well. Like sometimes I'm just like flailing around, like being like dumb. But like that's how I enjoy myself in a club setting, and I talk to people because I'm not uncomfortable having conversations with strangers. But I understand that I'm lucky in that sense that I'm comfortable enough. But it's just really forcing yourself, because you literally do not have to be in university to drink to have fun. Like you don't have to do drugs. Like, you don't have to fuck.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
They're all awesome things, but you do not have to do them.
Right.
So
to
really
have a good time.
Yeah, it's really just finding like a happy medium.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And I think that we're in culture, like our culture now does things to the extremes, right? It's always like 0 to 100 and doing things as quickly as possible. Technology is growing as quickly as possible. It feels like we're always under this stress to kind of perform, right? And so if you can just sit back and realize, hey, I'm gonna live a lot longer than, hopefully, than this experience at university, so I don't need to do everything all in one night. We can space it out, and I can try a few things, and take my time. Like, no one takes their time anymore. It's just like go, 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 go. And that same mentality applies and kind of spills over from studying and trying to work and trying to get all these material things into everything that you do. You kind of program yourself into this bad habit in a way.
Yeah, and it's like a value system too, because like having fun should be a value in people's life. Like, people should want to have fun and enjoy themselves. But it's when they get like perverted by like these like we can use the term like vices, like drinking, like drugs, like like those things are all exterior. They can be a part of your fun experience, but like they're not all cohesive. Like, they're not all commingled in one. Like, I have a great time going out and dancing, but like I literally sat with my friend last night and we both ate a pizza and like I was like, wow, like this is amazing. Like, I'm in bed, like I have my heater next to me, like this is the life.
Well, good. I'm glad that you're a very smart young lady, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. Let's talk about your dancing and where we can find you in London, Ontario, for anyone that's curious and wants to have a conversation like we're having.
Yeah, like I actually teach like literally an hour, which is jokes. But yeah, I'm a dance teacher at Dance London, which is an amazing studio. Like Ashley is the studio owner, and she's a brilliant woman. She's so kind-hearted. She just had a baby. And
congratulations, Ashley.
He's literally stunning.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's the heartbreaker of the studio already. And
he's surrounded by women that dance.
Yeah,
he's got it made.
And I have so many great kids who I teach. That's something that's really also helped me like grow as a person. Like, the kids who I get to encounter, like they're amazing. Like one of my little ones, like I teach my babies, like they're like 6. Like, he's the only boy in the class, and he's so self-confident. Like, it's actually insane. Like, he's just like, I know that I'm cool. Like,
that's awesome.
It's fine, guys. Like, please. And like, even like his parents, like there was a younger boy who came in, like he was wearing his little sister's tutu, and then Owen, who's in my class, like he was just like Dad, like why is he wearing like a skirt? Like boys don't wear skirts. And then like his dad like looked at him and was like, hey, like he can wear whatever he wants.
Right.
He's like, you wore nail polish last week, like like it's fine.
Sure.
And like he was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And like, it's parents who do stuff like that, which are like absolutely brilliant, like having those conversations with their kids, like not just like brushing them off.
Right.
Like,
No, I like that 100%. And you work at Jack Astor's as well, correct? And so I've never seen you there. I don't go there that often anymore. Like I said, I don't drink anymore, but I haven't seen you. When did you start working there?
I started working reading week, so that's like February.
Okay, so you haven't been there too long.
Yeah.
Okay, how are you liking it?
I really love it. Like, the staff there are awesome. Like, we're literally going to like Jack's, like the bar Jack's, like tonight.
Oh, wow.
With like a bunch of people who I work with, and it's just really sick. Like, I always find it awesome. Like, when I like go into like an environment and like I meet someone and then I'm like, we're friends. Like Alana, like who I work with, like all of a sudden like we're just like, we're friends, and like we spend like so much time together. Like I was supposed to have an internship this summer, and like it all kind of just like went to shit. And like Alana was like the first person who like I spoke to, and like me and her have literally known each other for like 3 months. It would be, and like she just like completely like understood, and I was just like, like I made a connection.
Very cool. Well, so we can find you there. You're going to be working there all summer, I guess? Yeah,
I'm staying here now. Now that I don't have an internship in Toronto.
You're in London, so you're going to be here. You're going to be on the patio. Everybody can go see Brooke when she's working and give her lots of tips, right?
I'm a hoe, so like, but still give me tips. But like, I'm a hoe, so like you can't directly give me tips. I guess that's like illegal. Okay. Like, if you want to throw me a tuning.
Okay, so you're going to be a host. Are you planning on working your way into the server realm of things, or you like being a host?
I really hope to. Like, I would love to do both. Unfortunately, like there's like an upward mobility myth in restaurants where like you kind of like get like stuck. Like it's so weird, like we never hire servers internally. Like there's so many hosts, like
really,
and like they never like want to be like, oh, like why don't you just like serve and host? And like it's really annoying because like my boss like has like explicitly told me that like me and 3 other hosts like we're like the top, like they're like who they rely on, like we're the strongest workers in our field, and we're like, hey, like then why aren't we like rewarded with like a promotion of some sort? It's like, because even just to be able to train to know that we have that opportunity if we so like choose it would be awesome, but like they haven't done it yet, and that's just kind of how the restaurant thing works. Like if you go anywhere, like they'll tell you, like they'll be like, if you're a host, like you're a host.
Really? Well, that's okay. I mean, you're the front face when you walk in the door, so everybody will get to see you when they walk in.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Is there anything that you want to share with, like it's all about, the Woman Crush Wednesday is all about female empowerment, and any message that you want to give to women out there of all ages, because after talking to you, I've learned a thing or two. So, I mean, I'm sure there's women that are older than me that can learn from you as well. We can learn from each other.
I would say just really, really know your self-worth. Like, it will affect you in every single walk of your life, in your relationships, in your careers, in everything. And know that you're like a 10. Like, that's what I say to all of my friends. Like, you are a 10, and no matter what happens, don't let anything shake you. Like, understand that you are the best person that you can possibly be, which doesn't stop you from growing, but it stops you from getting any negativity that will stop you in your goals and what you want to do. So,
Good for you. Smart young lady. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Brooke, if you have anything to say to Brooke, I know that I'll tag her on this when she adjusts her privacy settings, I guess.
Yeah, don't tell my parents, everyone, please.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that you said anything that was, I mean, I would be proud of you if you were my daughter. I mean, that's
I know,
kind
like,
of weird,
I'm like kind of thinking, like, maybe I should. Like, maybe I'll, like, let them, like, see, like, the side of me in the hope that, like, I don't, like, my account won't get cut off with money.
So that's what it's, so once you're earning your own money, then it's okay. You can put this video out there and show it to them.
I literally say that all the time. Like, my mom is like, you're a kid until I don't pay for your bills. And I'm like, oh, that's fair.
It makes sense, right? Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Come on anytime. Anytime any of your sorority sisters or anyone that's struggling with mental health, anyone that's had positive and negative sexual experiences, anyone that wants to come on, this is an open platform to do so, where they don't have to fear the repercussions. I mean, this is something that it's just a podcast where we come on and talk and try to inspire other people and try to make the world a better place, I guess. As fucking cliche as that sounds, it's what we're here for.
It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. So, it starts small, but like there's a butterfly effect. I believe in it.
Well, let's hope so. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. That's the end of our first Woman Crush Wednesday. I've got another one coming on at 9 tonight because last week we canceled. So we will make up for that, and everybody say goodbye to Brooke, and we'll see you again in a few hours.